Good morning.
Morning.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Good.
All right. Well, hey, we are so glad that you were able to make it here this morning on this very, very special day. Those of you out there in the live stream, thank you for joining us. You guys are awesome. Because of you, we're here this morning on this special day. We want to say Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. Now, we understand and we realize that not everybody is in the same status. Okay, we know that some want kids. We know that some want to get rid of their kids, and everything in between. So you know what? No matter what stage that you're in, we honor you this morning. Okay, and we're so glad that you're here. And you know what? We've got some special things going on here today, and I'm going to promise you this morning, I am not going to take up a ton of your time because I know we all have plans and lunches and things to do with mom, myself included. So let's go ahead and get started today. I'm so glad that you're here. I can't keep, moms are so special, and we want to take every chance that we can to honor them. Today, I want to talk about a couple of stories. All right, and a couple of these stories are really special. So the first story I want to talk about, I want you to go back in time with me. Okay, we're going to get into the DeLorean, and the flux capacitor is going to turn on, and we're going to go back to 1988. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to go to 1981, December 10th, 1981. There was a young mom, and she had a 20-month-old little boy. And this little boy was having some problems. He was really fussy, and he was feverish. His nose was running, and something just wasn't right. And Mom had no idea what it could be, so she's decided, I'm going to take him to the doctor. You know, he's probably got a cold or the flu, you know, maybe an ear infection. So you know what, we're going to take him to the doctor, we're going to get him some antibiotics, and we're going to get him fixed up. So his mom takes him down to the doctor. The doctor takes one look at the little boy and then orders a spinal tap. Okay, Mom had no idea what she was getting ready to hear. She had no idea the news that this doctor was getting ready to lay on her. Okay, they did the spinal tap. The results came back. This little boy had spinal meningitis. And if you're not familiar with spinal meningitis, if not taken care of immediately, it can be deadly. The doctor rushed this young mom and the baby and his nurse into his private vehicle, and they rushed off to the hospital because time was of the essence. They get to the emergency room. They take this little boy up to the ICU. The boy's father has showed up. As they're taking the boy to the ICU, they stop the parents and they say, hey, you guys got to wait out here. The medical team needs to be able to treat your son, so you guys have to wait out here. The baby's lips start to turn blue from a lack of oxygen. For 10 days, they didn't know if their baby was going to live or if the baby was going to die. They had no idea. Doctors couldn't really tell them until it was all over. But you know what? There was a love from that mom. There was a rock solid love that she stayed with that baby as long as they would let her. She came every day down to the ICU. She rallied her family, her friends, her church family, and they prayed for her little boy. December 20th, 1981, 10 days later, that little boy went home. And you see, situations occur, and I know inside the mom, she was falling apart. She had to have been. As a parent myself, I couldn't imagine what this mom and dad were going through. But it was the rock solid love of that mom that kept it together. As everything inside was tearing up and falling apart, on the outside she displayed strength, because she had two other sons at home that still needed their mom. See, it was that rock solid love that got that baby through what the situation that they were involved in. That mom stepped up and she took care of business, and she displayed strength and prayer and faith and hope until the baby came home. Now, I know it's Sunday, and I think that there's a law or a rule that says if we get together, we have to do something out of the Bible. So we're going to go ahead and do that this morning, because I want to talk to you about another mom that's in the Bible, and her name is Hannah. And I'm going to paraphrase Hannah's story for a minute, just to kind of speed things up so that we can get to our celebrations of moms, all right? Now, Hannah had a husband, all right? Not unusual, but Hannah's husband had another wife. Now, some of you may be saying, what did he just say? Hannah's husband had another wife. And there's a group of you out there that are probably thinking, I didn't know the Bible was written in Utah. It was a common thing to happen in the Middle East where men took more than one wife. That was common. I'm telling you, I'm glad that we're past that. I have a wife, and I'm telling you what, remembering birthdays and anniversaries and other special events is tough enough with one wife. I couldn't imagine doing it with more than one. So he had two wives, and Hannah was unable to bear children. And in that society, that was a sign of honor amongst the women, is to produce children. The other wife, well, she produced quite a bit, and she would poke and make fun of Hannah for it. And her husband had a little something to say to Hannah about this. And so we're going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse number 18. Her husband, and her being Hannah, says to her, her husband Elkanah would say to her, Hannah, why are you weeping? Why don't you eat? Why are you downhearted? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons? All right, let's go ahead and be honest here. Guys, this is probably not what you want to say to your wife when she's feeling down and out. When she's having a problem and she's looking to you for strength, don't look at her and say, am I not enough? Because in all honesty, you're probably not. All right? Otherwise, she wouldn't be down and depressed. And so for him to say this, it was probably a slap in the face to her. Now, fellas, this is just a little free relationship advice. No extra charge. Don't say that. All right? Your wife will probably throat punch you. All right? If she's already feeling bad, this is not going to help. And I wanted to show you guys something else. For those of you that are not familiar with this, this is the preferred weapon of your wife when you really irritate the snot out of her. And she will wait till you go to sleep, and she will use this 3 different ways on your forehead. She will use it fast, hard, and continuously. So let's be smart. Let's not irritate them with something like that when we see that they're down and out, okay? So Hannah cries out to God, and she prays, and this is her prayer, and it comes in 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 11. And she being Hannah, made a vow, saying, Lord Almighty, if you will only look on your servant's misery and remember me, and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head. Now, as Hannah was praying this, the priest was watching, and the priest's name was Eli. And he looked at her, and he said, I see her lips moving, but I don't hear any words coming out of her mouth. Oh my gosh, she's drunk. Oh, here we go, another drunk in the tabernacle. So he goes up and he tells Hannah, hey, what are you doing? Why are you coming to church drunk? And this was Hannah's reply to him. No, not so, my Lord, Hannah replied, but I am a woman who is deeply troubled. I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord. Do not take your servant for a wicked woman. I have been praying here out of my great anguish and grief. And after she gives this statement to Eli, the priest looks down to her, and he blesses her, and he says, whatever it is that you wish for, may it be so. And wouldn't you know it, about 9 months later, you guys can do the math, 9 months later, Hannah gives birth to a little boy, and guess what she names him? You guessed it, Samuel. Excuse me. And the Bible tells us that she raised him to the point of when he was weaned. Now, what does that mean, that when he was weaned? He was probably old enough where he wasn't breastfeeding anymore. He was probably potty trained. He could probably kind of dress himself and get ready. And when she did that, she took him to dedicate him in the temple and to live in the tabernacle to serve the Lord and to work under the priest. So Samuel was dedicated, and this was the prayer right here that Hannah gives when they dedicate Samuel. Then Hannah prayed and said, "My heart rejoices in the Lord. In the Lord my horn is lifted high. My mouth boasts over my enemies, for I delight in your deliverances. There is no one holy like the Lord. There is no one beside you. There is no rock like my God." Rock solid love. That's what Hannah displayed, and it was her determination to be a mother. It was her desire to bring forth a son. That rock solid love for that son that produces this. I want to tell you one more story. And this one right here, we're going to go back in time again. We're going to go a little further back. And I want to talk to you about May 1st, 1974. There was a young mother who had 2 daughters. Now the youngest one was 21 months old. And they lived in a home with her parents because they were waiting for a rental house to become available. A couple of the older kids in the neighborhood and the older sister were out playing, and the younger one, the 21-month-old daughter, she says, "I want to go outside and play too." So mom says, "Okay, no problem." She opens up the garage door from the kitchen, and she's going to let her go out and play in the garage for a little while. Now, out in the garage, this young mom had bought some furniture so that the kids would have, a bed and a dresser and a few other things when they moved into their new home. And in that garage, she also had some gasoline. And the gasoline was to help strip the furniture so it can be repainted and refinished. Now, let's remember, it's 1974. We didn't have the gas containers with the safety features that we have now. This was 1974. We didn't know all of the stuff then that we know now. So that garage door's open, and the little baby girl is let out to play in the garage, and it just took a few minutes. And the breeze from the garage kind of picked up those fumes from the gasoline, and it ignited the water heater in the garage. And they hear an explosion, and that young mom runs out to the garage to see her beautiful 21-month-old daughter covered in flames. And out of that rock-solid love that she had, she reached over and she grabbed her little girl, picked her up and put her on the ground and patted her down until the fire was out. She rushed over and had a neighbor take them to the hospital as soon as they could, and they got there, and the burns were so severe, they had to rush that little girl to Valley Children's Burn Unit. The mom and the little girl were put into an ambulance, and they hightailed it up north. Now the mom, she sustained 2nd-degree burns on her hands from putting the fire out, and I believe on her thigh as well. That little 21-month-old girl suffered 3rd-degree burns on 50% of her body. The entire backside of her body was burned. That little girl, because of the severity of the burns, when they got to the hospital, they rushed her straight to ICU. When they got to ICU and they examined her, they told the mother, "We can't guarantee that your daughter's going to live through the night. Infection can set in. So many other things could happen with the blood vessels and with the tissue and with the nerves. We can't guarantee that you're ever going to be able to take your little girl home." Now remember, this is 1974. They didn't have the medical advancements that we have today. They didn't have the technology to treat burns like we do today. And so because of that, that young mother lived in complete fear and horror that she was going to lose her little girl. That little girl stayed in ICU for a month, having to go through treatments and wraps and having stuff cleaned and IVs. For 1 month she stayed in ICU, and after that she was downgraded to her own room. While she was there for several more weeks. That young mother was there every single day. You see, she couldn't drive because her hands were burned and she had her own hands bandaged. But you know what she did? She found family members, she found friends, anybody she could find that was going to take her to that hospital. And she stayed from the time that she was allowed to get there until they forced her to go home every single day. It was that rock solid love that she had for her daughter. For the burns that she had, she was going to see her through because she didn't know if that was going to be the last time she ever got to see her daughter. Several months go by, they're going to discharge her little girl, and now she's going to be responsible for her care at home. She's terrified, she's scared to death. What if I mess up? What if I don't do it right? But you know what she did? She displayed rock solid love for her little girl, and she learned from the nurses. They taught her how to change the bandages, how to dress the wound, how to help her get through the day in and day out activities that this little girl was going to do. They showed her how to do it, and she was a student. She learned so that she could take care of her little girl. It was rock solid love that got that little girl through. And I tell you what, after many surgeries as an infant, and then as a teenager, and more surgeries as an adult, she survived. And what brought her through all of that was the rock solid love of her mom. Now, these two stories may sound completely different. And they are. They are completely different stories. But I tell you what was the same was the rock solid love that each one of these mothers displayed to their kids. With the story of the burned baby, what we didn't see before is there was a young pastor who went and ministered. This family wasn't in church. They didn't know any different. But this young pastor went and he prayed with them, and he planted a seed in them. His name was John Knowles, and he took care of their spiritual needs, and he planted the seed that a couple of years later was grown when they came to church and they joined the family of God. You see, these stories are very personal to me. And you may say, well, why? Why are these stories personal? Well, the first story, the story with the lady with the little boy who had spinal meningitis, that lady was my mom, Brenda Dobbs. And the little boy that contracted spinal meningitis, that was my youngest brother, Chris. See, I was only 6 years old at the time. I didn't understand what was going on. I just knew that my little brother was at the hospital, and Mom seemed like everything was fine. She kept it all together. She was falling apart on the inside, but with her rock solid love, she knew she had two other boys at home that needed her, and she displayed that. Chris is 39 years old today, married, kids of his own, and living a normal life because his mom displayed rock solid love and saved his life. The story with the young mom and the 21-month-old little girl that got burned, see, that's personal to me as well, because that mom was my mother-in-law, Peggy Polecat. And that little girl that she saved from the fire and that she willed to live through her rock solid love is my wife, Robin. See, it gets personal. And I want to challenge you today. Who out there is in your path that you can display some rock solid love to? That you can show the love of Jesus Christ and rock their world? Because that's what it's about. Rocking the world around us. Now, getting back to Robin's story, Peggy suffered second-degree burns on her hands. And yet, I want to show you right here, this is what her hands could have looked like. And I don't know how well you can see this, but this is the top and the bottom of a hand with second-degree burns on it. We see the open blisters from the burns and all of the burn marks around the hands. This is probably what her rock-solid love did to her hands. Now I want to show you what the hands of Jesus Christ looked like when he took the nails for us on the cross. That is rock-solid love, because he did that for you and he did that for me. So, on this Mother's Day, 2019, are you ready to show your rock-solid love to the world? Are you ready to go out and to rock your world? I hope you are. Because you know what? We're going to see this world rocked. We're going to rock Shafter and Wasco and McFarland and Buttonwillow and Delano and the world around it. We're going to rock our world because we're going to show the rock solid love of Jesus Christ. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to accept Jesus as your personal Savior. And if you haven't, I want to give you that opportunity because I don't ever want to see a service end without somebody having the opportunity to say yes to Jesus. So if you're out there, if you just look straight ahead at the camera and you look and you say, Jesus, I'm not perfect. I've sinned. Please forgive me. Amen. It's that simple. If you said that and if you meant it, congratulations. You are now a member of the family of God. And you know what? We want to partner with you and we want to walk with you in this. So if you did that, send us a message. It can be private. You know, you can send us a thumbs up. You can send us a text or, you know, because we're all over the place. You can find us at YourCC Church. YourCC Church. And we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All right? Message with us because you know what? We want to share stuff with you. You know, hopefully we have some news about our building that's going to be coming in Chapter. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks we can share that with you. We're so excited to be able to meet you guys and to partner with you and to walk with you. So you know what? Let's start the relationship now. Let's be in contact. We look and read at all of our messages. If you need prayer, let us know. We will partner with you and we will pray with you because we want to rock our world. Once again, I want to say Happy Mother's Day. Mothers, we love you. We thank you. And God bless you. And those of you that maybe you're not a mom or you didn't have a great relationship with your mom, we love you too. And we honor you as well. And we just want to wish you the best Mother's Day ever. So before we leave, let me say a blessing over you. Can I do that for you? May the Lord bless you and keep you. And may the Lord have his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace.